There's well, hello and welcome. I'm glad that we can meet today at this occasion here. We'll discuss very actual topic, decarbonization and digitalization, and even more actual thing, which is how to move beyond the marketing. Because it is commonly observed that we spend the most on defense and green policies in the contemporary West. The latter is genuinely encouraging, given the fact that the climate change has been accelerating in the past years. However, the debate on climate change has its ups and downs like any other debate, and we're going to touch upon these issues. Green solutions are often the most expensive, such as sustainable technologies or even groceries and cosmetics. Here we are touching the line between how serious sustainability promoting companies and organizations are about their future goals and how this attractive trend should become more than just a business model targeting rich Westerners. So we will revolve our panel around two most significant questions. That the use of non-carbon technologies in a freight industry today, what are the solutions that are being implemented at the moment, and the prospects of green technologies in an industry, and where does the actual impact start and where does the marketing end. I want to hear opinion from all perspectives, and the panel composition today gives us a unique opportunity to have this chance. So let me introduce our speakers. We've got Sarah Bittner-Krautsack, who is online, who should be on the screen now. Yes.
Hello, greetings from Vienna. I'm very happy to join your discussion today.
Hello, Sarah. Sarah is a program officer at the Department for Mobility and Transport Technologies by the Austrian Federal Ministry for Climate Action, Environment, Energy, Mobility, Innovation and Technology. Sarah is currently responsible for the innovation field in the mobility of goods together with the innovations in the rail systems. My second speaker is Mr. Herfried Leitner. Herfried is a chairman of the board of Pro-Danube International, which is a non-profit organization with a focus to increase the competitiveness of transport and logistics along the River Danube. And Herfried is also a minority shareholder and the general manager of TTS Transport Trade Services in Austria. Another guest is Martin Hubeňák, who is a representative of Port of Antwerp for Poland, Czech Republic and Slovakia, who does this job for 4 years now, if I'm well aware. Almost five. And his colleague, Walter Holzhammer, who is a representative of Austria and Hungary for Port of Antwerp. Yeah, we've got the colleagues from the same company now. And last but not least is Martin, Mr. Kremeň. I'm sorry, Martin Kremeň. Marek. I'm sorry. No problem. I didn't mean to butch him.
Can happen, don't worry,
yeah,
don't worry.
I'm sorry. Mr. Kremeň is working with the energy effective systems in a building for Exergy Studios, and he also works for Green Building Alliance, if I'm well aware. So I would like to start with the first question. What are the major challenges of decarbonization in your respective industry, and how digitalization reinforces the trend? I would like to start from the state-oriented view. So I'll start with the Sarah, that the political bodies are often accused of being detached from business realities. Well, is that true, and what does the Austrian government do to support transport and decarbonization and innovations in the mobility field? The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much for this question. Indeed, in Austria, we have a number of strategies, new strategies, that would like to support to achieve the climate neutrality in 2050 for Austria. And besides that, we also have an applied research and innovation program since 2012, which is called Mobility of the Future. And our target groups are companies that work together with other companies or research organizations to work together on sustainable solutions. And in this program, we have 6 focus areas, and one of them is mobility of goods, and another one is the rail system. And there we think that decarbonization and automation will be a key aspect in order to achieve that the rail system will become a backbone of a climate neutral mobility system. And in terms of mobility of goods, we have a number of R&D projects running and already finished that have digitalization in focus. And I'm very happy to give you some insights in these programs, in these running projects and finished projects later on. But we very closely work together with the companies when we are developing our strategies. In 2019, for example, we started to develop a new R&I strategy for mobility. And there we had a big co-creation and stakeholder process where we involved different industries, different sectors around mobility in order to focus on a common vision. And this common vision we agreed on is innovations in and from Austria for a climate neutral mobility system in Europe 2040. And we are very happy that so many experts, we had 17 workshops with 218 experts participating, and also big open consultations with more than 1,500 participants. They participated and they are willing to transform, and this will be our target and our vision. And we have a ministry, we would like to act here as a research and innovation political facilitator in order to achieve this vision we agreed on with our industry in Austria.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, and what is the legislature now supporting the field of research and innovation? Maybe you're known for being a representative of Austria by European Union in your field. What is the legislation now, and what other states could take from your legislation?
Myself, I'm not myself involved in legislation. I'm involved in research and innovation policy development on national and European level. We gauge the Austrian position in the relevant state representative groups of the European partnerships in Horizon Europe, where there are 9 partnerships in the cluster for which are relevant for mobility. So we try to also help the European Union to achieve this climate neutrality and the targets from the European Green Deal. And from the Austrian perspective, in July, a new mobility master plan was also developed from my colleagues from the Transport and Mobility Department. And this is also develops a clear vision for the transport and mobility sector in whole, not only the research and innovation part, and which is aligned on the 3 pillars of avoiding transport, shifting transport, and improving transport. And I think in all these 3 aspects, the digitalization is key in order to achieve those visions. So, and we have also the Renewable Energy Expansion Act, which was some months ago agreed in the parliament, and so we are really on track to climate neutrality in 2040, and I hope that we also help our industry to transform so that they can achieve to be pioneers in Europe and worldwide, and we hope that other countries will take this also as a path to follow.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I will move to the building segment because I know that building and state legislation is vastly connected. It's supported. States are offering subsidies to building companies, to even the owners of the houses to create more sustainable houses for themselves, to create more energy efficient houses for themselves. So Marek, please give me your insights. What are the technologies in building industries that are implemented at the moment, and what is the legislation that helps the end consumers to create to build houses like that?
Yeah. Thank you. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if you can hear me.
No.
No.
No? No?
No.
1, 2, 3.
Who is on? It's
You
me.
on?
It's
I'm
me,
on as well.
1, 2, 3.
Yes,
Very good.
it
So,
works.
hello everyone. Thanks for having me here. Well, I would probably not so much talk about what's in the new buildings, because the new buildings is not something I'm a bit worried about. This is the existing buildings I'm worried about. It's the same like in history we had this situation with cars. We had many old cars, and now we don't have so many old cars because we have different systems how to substitute the old car, get some credit for it, and buy a new car. Well, unfortunately, it's not so easy for buildings, because you cannot just take the building and put there another one. It's not a process like with the cars. Even though we think about the buildings the same way as we think about the cars, and that's a problem. The building will be here for many years. We have currently the life cycle period of 60 years in Europe for buildings, which from my perspective and my colleagues from Austria will agree for sure, that's not the lifetime of the building. 60 years is not so many years.
Yeah.
It's going to be, maybe if I'm doing all the exercises and everything good, in 6 years maybe I will still be here. Who knows? So it's not a really long period of time. When we have a look at castles, when we have a look at historical buildings, these buildings are here for hundreds and hundreds of years. So the question is, why our grandparents were thinking about the buildings from the perspective of many of hundreds of years, and why we are thinking about tens of years. So why are we going back from something what has been already developed? And that comes to the point of your question. This is not the technologies which will save us and which will decarbonize the industry only. That's the mindset we need to change, which will change it. And the mindset is collected from 4 main things, and that's the education. Then we need to have the legislation. Then we need to have tools, and we need to have the applications. From my perspective, we are somewhere between the first and the second, because if you ask anybody, my grandmother, she knows what the smartphone is, but my grandmother has no idea what a CO2 means. You know, so the education, the space we offer for this topic in the media is very small, so people don't understand why it's important. And then we have the greenwash, which is here. And greenwash in terms of many influencers and other people who do not really believe maybe the topic, but it's fancy, it's a sexy topic, you know? Yeah. So let's talk about it. And that's a problem which I think we are facing. We need to have a really solid framework for what we want to achieve, and the legislation which is following the framework. And that's something which is still not very solid from my perspective.
Thank you. So you say that we need to change the consuming way of life. We need to build something which is more permanent, not for instance, building houses from cheap materials, but move to look into the past and look how our forefathers were building these magnificent buildings. We are going to sightseeing. We're going to for sightseeing and look at these, right?
We are trying to find out what the wheel is, which has been developed thousands of years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
In many cases.
Look at the Roman buildings, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. I will move to the river shipping and to Herfried, because Danube is the river that connects the entire region, right? And it was one of the most important trade routes in history. Today we do not talk about the Danube transportation that much. We use it more for tourism in our region, right? Maybe you can change what I just said and tell me how it really is, and how does this segment deal with the decarbonization? What's the alternative for diesel engines in the river shipping industry, and what are the other technologies that are being implemented and at the moment?
Yeah. Good afternoon also from my side, ladies and gentlemen. Jozef, that was a good question. I think there are two things to mention about decarbonization and in the transport and logistics, and especially when we are talking about river transportation. The first thing is we have already something since 5 years now. It's the EU Regulative 1628. Which is practically the same than what we have seen in other modes of transports, like for example the Euro 4, Euro 5, Euro 6 trucks engines coming up. That was also a regulative, and we have the same already in the river shipping. So we are on our way already to a high degree of decarbonization already. So that means with the stage 5, which is now in the legislative which we have to fulfill, it means that we have to cut some of the emissions by 10 compared to the old engines which we were used to have on the River Danube. The second part, I think, is the future. I mean, we have the European Green Deal. I fully share the idea about it, and I'm fully here on the side of the big vision to decarbonize our world. So that means we have to move in the river transportation in direction of zero emission. How do we achieve zero emission? I mean, that's a very good question, which we in the river transportation share also with the big ocean carriers. I mean, how to find a solution for long distance traveling. We in our association and in our company, we are operating around 500 units on the River Danube day by day, also on the other rivers in Europe, of course. And we see two solutions for the future. The first, I think it will be pretty simple. It is everything which is used for short distance traveling, like for example port pushers, like ferry boats or other modes of tourism boats, for example, which have a one-day trip or something like that. I think that the solution here is quite simple. It's going to be battery based. In one or the other way, it's going to be battery. And it's, by the way, even proved already through some Horizon projects that it is much cheaper than the conventional engines which we have had before. For long distance traveling, like ocean carriers as well, I think it's difficult. I mean, there is no technical solution in the moment for zero emission. There are some good attempts in the direction of hydrogen or liquid hydrogen organic carriers, this LHOC and so on. So we don't know in the moment where it goes, but here the big question for a segment in the transport which is binded to a river is infrastructure. So the question is which technology comes, which can we foresee, and then to build with the help of public authorities also the infrastructure for it to have the fuel available.
Yes.
That's it.
Thank you, thank you. It's good that you mentioned it because infrastructure. It's the case of the Port of Antwerp, and the guys from the Port of Antwerp can answer the question: where does the maritime shipping goes in terms of technology in the future, and how does the infrastructure helps to develop towards more decarbonized world? So, gentlemen, the floor is yours.
No? Am I on?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Welcome everyone, good afternoon. You ask about the challenges and the role of the port. We are the second largest port in Europe, and we are also the biggest integrated chemistry cluster in Europe and second in the world after Houston. And, you know, and from sort of these kind of points, you already can imagine how big challenge it is in terms of even inspire people or explain to people or change the mind of the people, or not only the people but the companies. More than 900 companies are sitting in Antwerp, and as you can see how hard it is to move the people from the lunch area to the audience here, and can you imagine how to move people from carbonization to decarbonization, or undigitalized process to digitalized process? So everything in the process, it has some role, and we as a port, we play a community builder role, we play an infrastructure role, as you mentioned, because the ships are producing some pollution, of course. So you mentioned that somehow in a life of ship, she produced that 50 million of cars, or something like that.
I will step into this.
Yeah, what I want to say, what I want to say is that we are trying to make the environmentally friendly infrastructure for the others in the port. Not only from the point of logistics, but for the point of productions, industries, and also the ships which is coming to the port, arriving. It could be filled by LNG, could be filled by hydrogen, could be filled by electricity energy. So we have a big diversity in the port, and you have to look at it from the perspective for each sectors, what you can do and how to explain and how to even motivate the people to change in the future. And also the other part is logistic, because you have to move the containers, you have to move the cargo somewhere in and out of the port. So we are doing a lot of initiatives in the port to support all the community and to influence as much as possible, even it's a big challenge. And I will give a floor to my colleague Walter. He can say something about our initiatives and which are related to this.
Yeah.
It's working? Yeah. Hello, also from my side. So let me step into this question you raised. It's the question that one big vessel is polluting in the same way as 50 million cars.
Yeah, may I
Yes.
explain the entire notion? So one huge container ship of the length of 6 football pitches is producing the amount of sulfur that 50 million cars are doing. But now when the speed of ships was reduced, now it's only 18 million. But
I come to that.
The point stands here.
Yeah. So you talk about slow steaming. Let me go back. This study was raised some years ago, and it was counted the biggest 15 biggest container vessels are polluting the globe in the same way as 750 million cars. So you divide by 15, then you have one vessel is polluting as 50 million cars. Unfortunately, this is right. Yeah, this is right. And when we talk about the shipping industry, we still run on the technique which we had 100 years ago. The energy these vessels are burning is the remains of at what is left on the refining process. So it's heavy oil with a lot of this sulfate. But the first step changing this situation has been done 1 year ago. So from January 2020 onwards, they were allowed to burn this kind of fuel with just 0.5% of this sulfate. But the next step is to get them cleaner, is to have the scrubber, the filter methods. But anyhow, the next development in the vessel story is LNG, as Martin said. And I can remember the last orders of CMA, CGM, 24 vessels are now coming with that kind of technology. But I have to say that the average lifetime of a vessel is 35 to 40 years. So now we have the year 2021, and we want to reach goals starting in Austria with 2030. So we have that climate goals, and we are talking with vessels still running on old technology, running out in the next 20, 30 years. So this is a thing, I think the political side has to go into that.
Yeah, this is very interesting, actually. And do you think that the debate on how to decarbonize the maritime industry is sufficient at the moment? You know, you see most of the people replace their diesel cars, or lots of people have replaced their diesel cars by...
You know, you always can do more, but you need to understand that companies as well. They have a business plan, they have the costs of running this kind of equipment. If they take the decision to buy such equipment, they have to make a plan for this long time period. And coming back to the discussion of the Green Deal, yes, the Green Deal is here, the Green Deal is signed, we need to step into that, but what I fear a bit is that the time frame given to the industry is a bit too dense. So this is my personal opinion on that. Technology is here. Hydrogen, also said by Martin, is a future technology soon to come, and Antwerp will be one of the big hubs for this kind of energy. But you know, you need to synchronize the interests of the companies, because they give the jobs, they pay the taxes, and you have also to put in to synchronize the ideas of governmental organization, because they make the plans. So at the end of the day, I'm quite sure this will work out, but there needs to be a bit of understanding of each other a bit more.
Yeah. Do you want something? Do you have something to say? Okay. So Herfried had something to say.
I don't know if we should...
Yeah.
Am I on? Yeah.
Yes.
Super. I don't know if we should have an open discussion.
Yes,
yeah?
yes, definitely. It's a club discussion. I
It's a
wanted
club
to
discussion.
jump to the Sarah after you finish.
I feel it like the club. I just wanted to reply to what Walter said, that I 100% agree what you say. Beside the fact that I don't know if we would have a longer period for thinking about new technologies, if it would be also triggered in the way like it is triggered in the moment. I mean, you can see here at the audience that greening, decarbonization is not the most sexy topic what we are discussing about. Yeah, exactly. There's one, but when we are talking, like you said in the break, if we would talk about an iPhone, I mean, it would be full here, yeah? And I think it is the right thing what the European Commission is doing. I mean, we are forcing the industry to change, because we don't want to live further as it is today. And I can fully agree. I don't want to leave the world behind for my children in that way, like we have created it, and in the direction it's going to go in the moment. So I think together with ports, together with a united European Union, I call it like this, with a strong European Commission, I mean, we can force other ones not to come in with their old vessels any longer, and this is what is going to happen. We have to be clear that other ones which will not change other parts of the world, because I sometimes hear, but then I do a flagging of my vessel in South Africa or in Gambia or somewhere, and then I can still sail around on the rivers or on the ports. No, I mean, if we all come together, if we all have the same vision, I mean, we can limit and we can really make the world to a better extent for the future.
Yes, and here I would like to go back to Sarah. Do you think that this Green Deal and Fit for 55 is achievable in terms of coordination of businesses and the state sectors. I mean, I would like to give an example of Germany today. It's my very favorite to what you just said, Herfried. You see, we all were forced to buy electric cars, and we have very expensive electric cars in our garage that are being fueled by electricity from coal plants. This is the reality on the ground in Germany. So I think this is where we kind of dropped the ball, and I want to hear a representative of the federal ministry. What do you think? Is it how we can change it, and how the state should cooperate with the businesses to avoid these missteps?
Yes, as a landlocked country, I can't contribute to the maritime questions. Also, I'm really aware that all the goods inside the containers on those ships are goods that are transported also to Austria, so it's also a problem triggered by the consumers, which we are fully aware of, and where I think there needs also actions to be taken. But for Austria, we have due to our location in the middle of Europe and the landscape, we already have 80% of the electricity produced or generated by renewable energy resources. And I mentioned before this new act, the Renewable Energy Expansion Act. In this act, we would like to achieve to have by 2030 already 100% of electricity by renewable energies generated, and therefore there will be €1 billion available in order, and half of them for the industry, to help them to transform that in the end they remain competitive, and they also create have the jobs still available and create new jobs, green jobs. And I think there is, maybe it's not comparable with the situation in Germany and maybe not with other countries, but for us I think that there is a clear vision. With our R&I strategy on mobility, with the Mobility Master Plan, and with this act, I think that there are three very important pathways where we would like to invite the industry to step in and transform our society, our planet towards sustainability, because I think it's key for future generations to have a planet that is worth and able to live on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Herfried?
it's one Madame me, and I will give it then over to Marek, because I will connect him in. I think, Jozef, what you said, we have to put in the right perspective, yeah? My neighbor has an electricity car. He installed his solar panels with the help of the Austrian government, because there's a kind of a subsidy program.
Yeah.
And he's running his e-car much cheaper than you can imagine. I mean, he's fueling up. Of course, if you buy the electricity on the normal petrol station, I mean, it is expensive, as it is normal. I mean, but he's producing electricity below 10 euro cents, and that's coming back to efficiency. I think that the future is going to be decentralized, and I think the future is going to be also in the way that we are using the energy to the most efficient way. And that starts also, like Marek said before, at the way how we are seeing buildings, in the way how we are building buildings. I mean, where it is, I think it's extremely important. You can be today completely, and I'm not sure, but you can be autark with a few solar panels and so on. You can be, and with floor heating or earth heating, what it's called, you can be almost completely independent from the rest, what the rest of a country is doing, correct?
It is 1, 2, 3. It is possible. It is possible to do that, of course. There is another way of thinking for suppliers who don't like to see that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So independent, the word independent, not many people like it, you know. Because then you can basically make your own rules, how you operate.
Greening will cost.
But what I want to say is exactly that The entire issue about understanding the carbon is that it's not related to something we know. Spending of electricity is related to something we know. It's related to costs you pay for the electricity. If you're not happy about how much you pay for the electricity, if you are a person living in a home, you think about it, what can you optimize to make it better? In terms of the carbon is, it's a fluidum. Nobody understands what is it. Nobody can relate it to something. So it's not very nice what I'm going to say, but the only way is probably to pay for your carbon which you produce. And then you might think, okay, I want to buy some device from China, and I can pay for the device. If I am willing to wait 3 months, I will pay that price, but if I want to have it next week, I will pay triple. And then maybe you will be very surprised that the market is okay with 3 months. Now, because the rules are the same for everyone, everybody wants to have it tomorrow. If you don't deliver something in 2 days, people are not happy. Some years ago, people were happy if something came in 7 days. Now, if it's the next day, it's a problem. So, and that's the way of thinking and optimizing things. If you have a fully equipped cargo, which has every piece, every cubic meter filled with the goods, so people can wait, or you have partially full, delivery, whatever it is, if it's a cargo ship or whatever else, and it has to travel because somebody wants to have it, sooner. That's a problem.
Yes, but isn't this something that would put in a greater advantage those who can afford things to deliver much faster than the others who cannot afford that? For instance, in terms of business, like big companies can afford to pay more. Yes.
You have these companies already existing in the market, flying around the globe, like the big express companies, the integrators. They showed that they can do it quicker. But coming back to the shipping industry, you said slow steaming. Slow steaming, the companies found out that they can save by just reducing by 3-4 miles per hour. They can save 30% or 25% of energy. So that's the first thing. What we are doing as a port is we have 15,000 seagoing ships a year. We have 50,000 barges arriving, and normally these vessels, when they are berthing, they are running their own engines. So what we have changed in the port is they have energy from onshore. So they have electricity. So the pollution is very much reduced. When we have a very big port area, 120 square kilometers. So to check this on a security side, you need to run 5 cars all the day around. So we have changed to drones. So we're flying over, we take a picture. Next day we take the same picture. If there is an exception, then someone goes there. We check the logs in this way. So the port is really aware of his responsibility. And as Martin said, we are community builders. So we need to bring all these parties together and also influence them in a way to reduce the footprint. That's also our ambition to go more on this energy hub for green hydrogen.
I would also follow Martin here, as he said, that there are cargoes like half empty or something. It's a one thing, of course. It's happening. But that's another point which we should all, the community, logistic community, think about how to utilize let's say both ways, the cargo, not going empty one way or the other, or using one mode of transport or the second mode, because of course the people will order iPhones, the people will order the devices and so on, the people will order food, and of course the things will arrive from around the world. But the other thing, how to get them, into the port and from the port, is also a question. And today it's a big challenge, to explain to people that you save a 70% of carbon, you save a CO2 compared to truck, road. Of course, not everything can go on train if you go from the port and to port, but you can at least influence that. But the people are still, or the companies are still hesitating, and many companies, because they have to change all the setup, of course. But we are here, also the port, to help them to make up the concept. We are, for example, quite behind in the rail operation and rail connectivity. We are on 7% or 8% today, and we want to achieve 15% in a few more years. So it's also our developments ongoing. For example, we have launched for the last 12 months, we have launched around Europe from port and to port 36 or 40 new shuttles of intermodal trains, which is a very big achievement. And the people now they realize also, not only with Port of Antwerp, but with the others, because there are the other players on the market, and we need to work also together. Because some people, and most of the people I know, even including me, I don't know what does the Green Deal says in detail. But we do our steps as we think that this is the best to optimize the cargo. And I don't know if this was matched, for example, from the political level with the commercial level. What does the commercial community need to reach the Green Deal, to reach the target, and what does the political say about the support, how to support the needs of the commercial markets. So that's also a question. I don't know how my colleagues are looking at that, but or colleague Sarah, she's online, maybe she can say how does the Green Deal, according to her, was made in accordance from the market needs.
Yeah, let's transfer to Sarah.
Yeah, indeed. I'm happy to join here this discussion. Again, for Austria, I would like to mention, and I think they also give us the European perspective, because I don't know how aware you are. There is a European innovation and technology platform on logistics called ALICE in brief. And they are working on the concept of implementing the concept of physical internet. And physical internet promises, it's a concept from science, but it's a promise. There are already some pilot projects ongoing all around the world, and they promise to have a savings of up to 30% CO2 emissions and as well savings of 30% of costs. So I think that here there could be a good combination, because I know the industry is very interested in saving costs, and I think here these political targets could be matched very well if the industry saves costs and we also reach our targets as a society in terms of greening our planet and industries. Here, I also would like to mention that for Austria, we have a flagship project going on with 4 pilot, where they have defined 4 pilot areas to implement this physical internet and to demonstrate until 2024 that this cooperative logistics approach by the physical internet or given by the physical internet will work. So I'm looking forward to these results, and they are looking to be promising, but I hope that they will also show these results we're looking for, of course. And then a second thing I would like to mention here, because the colleague mentioned the rail sector and the railways. I think they are also very important because it's a very climate-friendly transport mode, and it's lagging a lot behind in terms of digitalization. And I know that the automated coupling is something we are discussing since hundreds of years already, or since decades. But there are now efforts on the European level to implement not only an automated coupling, but also a digital automated coupling. And this will help us to also give the information on where are the wagons, where are my goods, to the supply chain owners, and will make these transport chains more efficient, and will, I hope in the end, also make the railway system more attractive as part of a supply chain. in the future.
Thank you, Sarah.
Well,
Does anybody want to react to
yeah,
that?
no?
Yeah.
You first.
I want to react, yeah, shortly. I think it is important that we all understand that greening has a price, carbon emissions have a price, pollution has a price.
Yep.
Austria makes the first step in the moment in implementing a CO2 tax, which will be implemented on the fuel. If we go back, Jozef, to what your question was, everything faster, everything, the customer wants to have it within 2 hours or 12 hours, 24 hours is not good enough any longer and so on. That will have a price in the future. We have to be clear about that. I'm not sure if the CO2 tax is now going
How to make
far enough, yeah? Because I can see, or in my opinion, the fair approach would have been just to take that what we all know, it is called the external cost of a transport mode. We take the cost of an external mode, of a mode of transport, and we internalize it. And then it has a real price. So that means then we also consider, when we're talking about trucking, for example, we're not only considering the price of a diesel and maybe a CO2 tax on it, but then we're also considering what it does to the environment, what it does because of noise, what it does to pollution, what it does to our general environment in overall. I think that would go there where we really would see the transport is getting more expensive and it would be more fair for the other modes of transport. In the way we are going in the moment, it will need support by the states and governments. That's how I see it.
Yeah. So you say that states and governments should subsidize the transport companies for green solutions in the transportation methods, for instance.
Yeah, and it is done through the CO2 tax, which is going to come, and I'm convinced it's going to come all over in Europe. We will see CO2 tax on all our fuels, which we use also in our private cars. We will see that. In that way, I don't think the governments have to support it. Yeah, so in that way, they are shifting the mindset of the people and the developers in order to avoid CO2 tax and in order to avoid fossil fuels. You can innovate something or you pay for it, and that's the future. Yeah. Either you innovate, you have electricity, or you have any other way of besides fossil fuels, and then you don't pay the tax, or you have to pay. I mean, that's going to be the future. That's clear. That's why we also think in the navigation for rivers. We hope that the technical solution will be found in the way of electrification. So we are sure propulsion is going to be electric. Just if it is fueled via hydrogen, via fuel cell, or via methane, or whatever, that's the question.
Yeah, but this is very interesting, because we really don't have the technical solution at the moment for decarbonization that could be implemented in general. And look at the production costs that are already hiking high in certain factories in a production. So you talked about the perspective of freight, which is definitely, I think it's correct, but still we don't have this technical solution. So I might be interested on your insights from all sides. What is the future of this decarbonization technology or non-carbon technology? And before that, I want to hear Martin. He has something to say.
I have one idea. Before I discussed it with Walter, but it was like when I'm looking at it from my perspective, right? The marketing of decarbonization is really low. Martin said before the discussion. Sorry, Marek. Marek said before the discussion.
I'm sorry for this.
I like Martin better.
Yeah. Okay. Mama. Okay. Marek, and he said that. If you tell the people, for example, that the phones will have 70% more energy, you can keep the phone longer working, right? The people, about the informations, you know, they will go crazy for the phones and devices. Yeah. If you say you save 70% of CO2, the hole is empty, right? This is about so how to make the marketing is first of all, and every one of us, not only ports, not only companies, but the consumers are, each of them are responsible what they are doing and how they can influence the climate change or the CO2 emissions and so on. If they have a digitalized platform or applications, maybe including the e-commerce, and they order a product, A, B, whatever, and the product says the product is delivered from China this way or that way, and they can choose the provider. They said, okay, this provider goes modal shift, rail, road, river, air, whatever, and he saves such an amount of CO2 and save the climate in 0.0001%, whatever.
Yeah.
But he will choose that one. It's a digitalization, right? It's a kind of a simple digitalization, not simple, but behind is, of course, a lot of work. But the consumer has a choice. But at the moment, the consumer has no choice. He cannot influence how does the global logistic look like. And that's, from my perspective, I would love to have a kind of application or e-commerce platform where I can choose according to the climate influence, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. It's my just very, you know, maybe crazy idea, but
Yeah. So
and
not
Wouter
crazy.
has a
Yes,
more
yes.
realistic one.
No, as Herfried said before, it's a matter of mind setting, yeah? And mind setting takes time. And now we are in the beginning of putting that costs, the real costs. And you know, the Green Deal will have also its place in the business reports of the big companies, of the big production companies. That's also a mind setting game. And the buying guy of the sea freight rates, will then not come and say, I want the cheapest and the quickest. He will also have to tell his boss, I have the solution for us with the lowest footprint. You know, so, but this is not coming within 1 to 2 years. But we are now in the beginning of that process.
Thank you.
I wanted to add on what Martin said before. I think in Austria we have a wonderful example with when you go to the post and you give a baggage there and you get your bill, you have the baggage of the price of the transport, and you have a second line which is called the cost for the road, the Maut in Austria. Yeah? I think you can just very simple also implement something like you said.
Like
you
when
have
you buy
the
cigarettes.
price of a CO2. Yes, exactly.
When you
choose.
buy cigarettes, they say to you, you're buying a cancer, huh?
That's pricing of transport. That's how it should be. I mean, if somebody can choose a container, then it might be an idea just to have this is the way if you go with that line, or this is the way, or that is what it costs with that line, or that is with that. Then you have a full transparency about the costs as well.
And the price could be different, eh? The price for increasing a pollution could be higher, and on the other side,
exactly.
On the other way around, huh?
Exactly. Transport is still too cheap. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Marek,
I would just add 2 more things, and that's coming from the buildings. But before that, yes, for wealthy people, I don't think wealthy people pay for the environment first of all, and I don't think they are willing, all of them, to pay for the environment because they have money. One example is a friend of mine has a very expensive restaurant, and when there is a takeout order, you can pay €5 more for the more environmental waste management of the restaurant and for a better way of delivering the goods. Believe me, it's a very expensive restaurant, only rich people order, nobody pays for it. So if the rich people, maybe 1%, 2% of rich people will go for their lower or more carbon solution, everybody else is thinking in a way how to make it most cost effective. That's why they're rich, because they're thinking in the terms of money. And from the perspective of how sexy to make it, we have bioproducts which are very sexy, and everybody wants them.
Yeah.
Why? Because it has a good marketing, because people know it's good for them. Huh?
Right.
Once people will know that this is not good for me,
That's
because it's going to influence the future generations of my family,
Yeah.
and even it's going to have some scoring. Question, would you buy it if the scoring of a good product is 100? Would you buy the product or anything which has a scoring of 1 if there is above a sentence, it's going to kill your future family?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
yes, that's
also
that's
the
a-
legislation. Yeah, when we talk about legislation,
Yeah.
there are trains, for example, green trains, running across Europe without with a different legislation in each country, and we are still in European Union. Yeah?
Yeah.
You have to change the locomotives. You have to educate your local driver for a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
Even he needs to know the language in each country, so he should be a multinational person
Yeah.
with the 5 languages skilled, you know, and that's are the restrictions also. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so where is the Green Deal for such a things to make it easy and happen? Huh?
And I
So-
would just like to add that coming to the Green Deal, for the framework for buildings is quite clear. We need to reduce the CO2 by 2030 by 55%,
Yeah.
and but by 2050 we need to be carbon neutral.
Yeah, I know.
So these are 2 exams we have in the future, and we can study for these exams and we can prepare, or we will not be a good students, and we will just live it up to 2029 and 2049. Yeah? And there are many tools in buildings like certification systems, the EPD certifications for materials, for the embodied carbon, which can be applied. And if we apply it soon enough, we have a really high chance to meet these targets. If we don't, we'll be like students 1 day before exam, maybe I'll pass it, maybe I not. The reason or the difference is this: you will not pass from day to day, you know?
Yeah, I will just get back to your point, because you were talking about rich. I was talking about rich Westerners as a West in general. I was talking about the globally that the West is rich and can afford green solutions. But what about Africa, China, Southeast Asia, which are the major polluters in the world? USA that doesn't care about the pollution. I mean, they started to care, but it's still far from being there. Russia. So we might be carbon neutral by 2050, but what about the global south?
But we say at my place at home, let's make it clear in this house, and let's be good in this house,
Yeah.
and then let's have a look at the others.
That's a
You
great
know.
notion.
And not only that, I can only speak for river shipping, which I know inside out. China is the only country in the world, or the only region, where river shipping was tripling in the last 5 years. Think about that. That's because, not only because the government wants to have it, they don't want to have the congestion on the roads and the rails any longer. They forced river shipping on a different level. So in that way, there is also a way of greening. But I wanted to say something else with regards to, but I don't catch it now. So sorry.
Yeah, let's move to the questions.
Yeah.
Martin and Walter are perhaps the most popular panelists today. So I will take the first question. What is Port of Antwerp doing to promote circular economy business?
I think Martin should take it. I have the other one.
Yeah,
You
no
take that
problem.
one?
I take it.
Yeah, and then there's second question. What is the future vision of the representative of Antwerp Port in our region about container shipping for the post-COVID period?
Okay, I might start with the circular economy. What we do to promote? Yeah, we are, as I mentioned, we are the second largest port in Europe. We have many other industries in a port, and we have also builder, community builder, and infrastructure builder. And for example, for the circular economy, we are now building or getting ready the next generation district, which will concentrate on the circular economy companies. They can use the renewable energy, they can reverse the products for the new products from the let's say, how to say that, trash, no? Trash or
yeah.
You know, exactly that what we are doing is to making the space to grow in this sense. And the next generation district is the state-of-the-art zone, open for new companies, new investors in Antwerp, and yeah, we support that, for example. So this is our, let's say, in short, a quite actual project, big project for new investments to bring to Antwerp and to show that the circular economy can work in a very, let's say, different way.
Walter?
Sorry?
Well,
okay, yeah, next one to me. So post-COVID period and containers, just let me tell you that the Port of Antwerp was over all the COVID time, all these lockdowns, fully operational by 100%, and we did a plus in containers last year. So last year we had a historical 12 million TEUs of containers. And you know, container is a success story, and I think now 50 years, celebration of 50 years. And my personal opinion is what can be containerized will be containerized. So it's a big dynamic, and official growth rates are predicted for the containers within the next years between 1.8 and 3.5%. Yeah. So, but that brings us back also to these solutions on the rail. So for my area, let me tell you that we were really successful in this year, that as we could start to Wolfurt, to the western part of the country, eight weekly lines on containers from the terminal Wolfurt to Antwerp, and another 4 from Vienna. Yeah? So I see a very big dynamic also in the future, not only touching Austria, but all the Central European market. It's the most efficient way of moving cargo on the globe. And if we can combine this with well-equipped terminals, which we have in Austria and in all the Central European Union, because companies are investing in that equipment and in that infrastructure, good solutions to the port, hopefully well-equipped vessels on LNG basis in the future, and all these followed by digital supply chain support, I think then we are on the right way. So I think we will see a big dynamic on containers in the future.
thank you for that. And I will move to Sarah in terms of what is the future of the freight in Austria. Where do you see the future of the Austrian freight industry as an officer for research and innovation responsible for these things, for mobility?
Yeah, first of all, I fully agree with all Mr. Holzhammer said. I think it was a very good summary of the things that are important. I see the industry, the transport logistics industry, is an industry which has now the chance to take a risk and try out by investing in research and innovation projects and demonstrations if the things work and how they could work in the future in a sustainable future. And we, with our R&I grants, we hope to reduce the risk by investing in those projects. But I would like to add one aspect which was not yet discussed here. I think this is the city aspect. On the European level, there are also mission areas which were described, and there's one mission area on climate neutral and smart cities. And I think here there is also a big chance that the cities could be pioneers to achieve the climate neutrality, And there, I know there are a lot of questions in terms of personal mobility. Of course, we are having this 15-minute cities, which I think Paris is one of the leading cities at the moment. But the European Union is now within this mission is looking for 100 climate-neutral cities, and the European Commission will support those cities. And we have a package to support the Austrian cities to be fit for this urban mission. And we have invested also in logistics projects. And there are 6 projects ongoing in Austria at the moment on on logistics hubs that are cooperatively used. And one of these projects is going on in the city of Vienna. And they try to use the public transport operating areas for sustainable city logistics involving cycle logistics for the last mile. And this project won already 3 prizes, and one of them was the Innovation in Politics Award. So I think that this is really one area where also the industry could have a deeper look in order to be on the leading edge of innovation and fit for the future. Also, not only the cities, but also link with the cities and communicate with the cities, because I think city planning and logistics planning need also be more closely linked in the future.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. Herfried and then Walter.
Thank you. Thank you one more time. I will bring some things together which you said before and Marek said before. I think, Jozef, the world will follow Europe. I think the world cannot continue in that way as it does today. So for me personally, I'm 100% sure that the European Green Deal is a good future for the whole world. So I think the world will follow. When I listen to Marek, I don't know what the percentage is exactly, what the 40%, the part of housing is 40% from the whole carbon mission which we have. I think what we have to realize for the future is we shouldn't see the challenges, but we should see the opportunities which there are in for the industry. The huge opportunities for changing here, being the first in the world, being supported by governments, being supported by a really huge European program. We have to develop something which we can give to the other world. That is the opportunity we have. And I think that is what we should use. All the producers should jump on this train instead of looking why not to find solutions for the future. And I think the whole world will join us and we will be much higher leaders than we are today.
Thank you. I think we can call this a closing remarks of yours.
Yes.
So then gentlemen will follow.
Just the last one. Sarah, I would like to officially invite you to the port of Antwerp for a visit next year when we do a delegation. So I'm planning a delegation and I invite you or some partners or teammates could come with us, and I'm quite sure we have a lot of things to share. And
I would be very happy, I'm sure.
And this is also valid for the other colleagues here at the audience. Thank you very much.
Marek?
Well, I would just, if that's the last sentence, I would say that...
it's not just the last sentence. You're not dying, don't worry.
I would say, not the last sentence at all. I would say that I would agree the question is not if, but when. And based on what I said, that the goals we have and the targets we need to meet in a couple of years are not going to happen within 1 year. So if we supposed to meet these targets, we need to start now. It's not too late, first of all, because everybody's thinking it's too late anyways. It's not, but we need to think about, because we are talking about infrastructure, we are talking about shipping the goods and so on, but it's all one thing and one topic.
Yes.
So there is no difference about the carbon in my area of buildings or in the area of infrastructure or in other areas. And infrastructure and the buildings, these are related. Yeah, it's part of the buildings, it's infrastructure. Yes. Otherwise, you would not be able to use the buildings. So I think the renovation maybe a renovation of existing infrastructure, existing cargo ships, existing buildings. That's the key, how to use the leverage, which every people are missing in the calculations. Because once you have constructed something and you change just partial thing, or partial part, some part of it, to make it more efficient, still better than building something new, you know. So, and renovation is a big topic in every sphere, and in the buildings, it's the best way how to reduce the carbon. So I think I see the future in the renovation, for example, not only houses but also public buildings, commercial buildings, because it's cheaper in the end, and it's meeting the targets already, in many cases.
Thank you, Martin.
Yeah. No, I would be only, let's say, positive, because I see a lot of acceleration in this, field, and yeah, it's not only in terms of logistics, it's in terms of other really approaches, from all levels and all sectors. So I would like to say just, to think over, because there is no, let's say, limits, in this case. We are still in somewhere that we can really improve a lot, and there is a lot of space for young people, young logistic, like young scientists and young analytics people and so on, to really help, and grow with this kind of improvement and the climate change. So not only logistic, but across the globe, let's say, in each sector. So I see it positively. I feel also the improvements, as I'm representative of the port. I see the improvements on that side, especially in this modal shift. I must say, yes, there is. Of course, it could be even more faster, but even small steps, are the proof that the companies are interesting to do something. And of course, not all of them, but the mass will grow and will increase the influence.
Thank you.
I hope so.
Thank you. And now, Sarah, do you want to have some closing remarks?
Yeah, from my perspective, my biggest challenge within the last years being involved in logistics R&I or transport logistics R&I was that to motivate companies to innovate, because they do not have that many resources like big industries like the automotive industry to have people who are responsible for R&I only. But I think this could be a chance for the future to be on the front edge and to become a pioneer also for the transport logistics industry. And I think here it's important that if you're a pioneer, you will also be attractive to young, skilled people. And I think this is also one of the big problems of the industry, of getting enough skilled people, and maybe this would also close this gap and be a solution for that. And I'm looking forward that we will achieve our big vision for Europe and be also an example for other countries.
Thank you very much, Sarah. So let me thank you all for taking part in our panel. We agreed that we need to change the mindset to decarbonize properly. And I'm happy that we hold this fruitful discussion together.
Thank you.
And thank you all who came to see us. Thank you all who watched us online. That will be all for us. And have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you.